जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा। विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा। तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे। गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
रसिक हो नमस्कार. सहर्ष सादर करीत आहोत ज्ञानसाधना गीत. कवी प्राध्यापक प्रवीण दवणे, संगीत विनय राजवाडे.
सरस्वतीच्या मंदिरातली स्वीकारा अर्चना. सरस्वतीच्या मंदिरातली स्वीकारा अर्चना. ज्ञानज्योतीने सदैव उजळो आपुली ज्ञान साधना. ज्ञान साधना. सरस्वतीच्या मंदिरातली स्वीकारा अर्चना. ज्ञानज्योतीने सदैव उजळो आपुली ज्ञान साधना. ज्ञान साधना. सत्य शिवाचे मंदिर सुंदर. मानव्याचा ध्यास निरंतर. सत्य शिवाचे मंदिर सुंदर. मानव्याचा ध्यास निरंतर. गुरु शिष्याच्या नात्यामधली प्रतस्थ मन साधना. ज्ञानज्योतीने सदैव उजळो आपुली ज्ञान साधना. ज्ञान साधना. अज्ञानाचा तमः सारुण विश्वात्मक स्वर येई उजळून. अज्ञानाचा तमः सारुण विश्वात्मक स्वर येई उजळून. शूरवीर संतांचे पूजन जागविते चेतना. ज्ञानज्योतीने
सेफ to invest. Don't save to save. The only reason to save money is to invest it. Hello and good morning everyone. This is Ms. Barje, student of Satish Pradhan Dnyanasadhana College. Basically, what is investment? What is stock market? How to invest? Where to invest? How it's gonna work? And of course, every final year student must be thinking, what should I do with my first salary? How should I save a bit of it? So many questions, and here we are to make it a bit easy for you all. Department of Banking and Insurance and Accounting and Finance has organized an Investment Awareness Week, a guide for the first time earners. Well, it is necessary for all to know the difference between investing and saving. Since it's a 7 days webinar, it includes investment avenues in the bank, mutual fund sahi hai, a curtain raises to real estate investment, beginner's guide for stock markets, small steps to the world of bonds and derivatives, and insurance. Also, on the last day of our webinar, we have a digital poster making competition. So before any further ados, I would like to call upon our Honorable Principal Sir, Dr. Hemant Chitte, to present a stimulus remark. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Good morning to all of you. On behalf of Satish Pradhan Dnyanasadhana College, I welcome you all on the occasion of this 22nd program under Glorious 40. We organize this lecture series to celebrate 40th year of our college under dynamic leadership of our President Sri Satish Pradhan, Secretary Sri Kamlesh Pradhan, and our Treasurer Sri Satish Sheth. This is the 22nd program we are going to organize today. I feel proud to tell you that all these events are planned by our students and conducted by them under the guidance of our professor, Dr. Mrs. Shraddha Bhumi, Dr. Anita Dakshina, Professor Mrs. Sarika Yahtagar, and Professor Abhinandan Chavan. This particular event will be held for a week from 18 January to 25th January, exclusively to guide the student, TY student of all streams. The objective of this program is to inculcate the saving habit among the students right from their first salary they are going to earn in a few days. They must know about the best option available for the investment. Through this series of webinar, we are going to discuss various options of investment like banking, mutual fund, real estate, derivatives, bonds, insurance, as well as stock with all of you. After completion of this lecture series, students will definitely able to choose the right option to gain maximum benefit from their investment, as well as they will understand the risk factor involved in it. Then we can proudly say that you all are smart investors. That is S for specific, M for measurable, A for achievable, R for realistic, T for time bound towards investment. I wish all of you a very best for this program ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your kindest words. We really appreciate the way you always inspire us. On this note, I would like to introduce you to our honorable speaker for today's session. We have Mr. Deepak Chavan sir working as an Assistant General Manager with IDBI Bank. He is presently posted as Regional Coordinator in Thane. He has an experience of 14 years in corporate, retail, MSME, AGRI and transaction banking services. Mr. Deepak Chavan has been awarded by the Government of Maharashtra through the hands of our then Chief Minister Shri Devendra Fadnavis for his great work in the field of microfinance resulted in IDBI Bank. International Fund for Agricultural Development, which is subsidiary of the United Nations, recognized his contribution in the field of making credit available for the neediest sections in the society. A documentary including his brief interview as a part of his success story was relayed across global microfinance institutions and IFAD headquarters in Rome, Italy. Mr. Deepak Chavan is an avid reader as well as his interest in teaching and making people learn and create more ideas shows his greatest perspective towards the society. We feel proud to share that he is an alumnus of our college from batch CS 2002. An investment in knowledge pays the best interest, and today Mr. Deepak Chavan is going to invest his knowledge as an investment in our session by teaching us about the investment avenues in the bank. So, before any further ado, let's call upon Mr. Deepak Chavan, our speaker guest for today's session. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It is always a matter of pride and happiness to come back to your college and contribute in some small way, whatever learnings you have gained throughout your corporate experience. To begin with, let me be very honest. I'm not an expert. 14 years or over 14 years is not really a great amount of experience. However, I'll do my best. I'll try and do my best in terms of guiding my, I would say, brothers and sisters. As an elder brother who's graduated a long time ago from the college. To begin with, understanding the topic says understanding investment avenues through banks for beginners. Generally, what happens is whenever we are making an investment or whenever we are associating ourselves with someone, what happens is we are kind of entering into a relationship. Okay, just like I'm a husband, or someone is a wife, or a kid, or a parent. What happens is whenever you are getting into any kind of a investment or any kind of a relationship with bank, that particular relationship will also bring in some contractual obligation. Let me put it simple. Whenever you are going for any investment or any simple activity also with the bank, that will demand some commitment on your part as well as the commitment on the part of the bank also. Okay, so it is important to understand that commitment also. I'll be touching for a moment on that particular commitment aspect also. So let's move on. Broadly speaking, as far as a student is concerned, a newbie or a fresh graduate is concerned, this is how it looks like, in terms of the services offered by banks. There are various other services also, like treasury, international banking, trade finance, other trade services. But for you, this is broadly the way how it is going to look like. So as far as services offered are concerned, you can broadly bifurcate them into core services and non-core services. Under core services, you will have account, RD, FD, locker, and PPF services. I'll move on further to the non-core services in the next slide. But where does it all begin? Well, it all begins with you opening a account with the bank. That is when you land up being a customer of the bank, because majority of the services that you are going to avail from the bank will begin with opening a bank account, which in your case, your or my case also, for an individual, you open a savings account. I'm sure most of you would already be having a savings account with some or the other bank. Like, I recollect my graduation days or pre-grad days when I had an account only with a cooperative bank. My suggestion to all of you would be cooperative banks are also good banks. Okay? The regional or the local banks. I would encourage you or advise all of you to open an account with any of the leading banks also. The mainstream bank. It could be a government bank, it could be a private bank, because that is where you get the entire gamut of services also. It shouldn't happen that you need a specific service and the bank can cater to that particular service or that investment requirement in the future, but then there is some other need that the bank cannot cater. So it is always better to choose a bank which is a mainstream bank, any of the government banks or any of the big private sector banks. Now, like I said, the services can be bifurcated into core and non-core services. Let us understand what are these core services first. The most simple form of service can be an account. An account that you can open, a savings account that you can open, individual savings account. Now, like I mentioned, the term savings, okay, what happens is many people, they consider the savings account a savings account, whereas there are many other people who debate whether it is actually a savings account. Many people maintain their stand that this is more of a expense account. The reason, because whatever funds that you hold in a savings account would generally be utilized or expended. That is, you will be spending them. So a lot of people, forward thinking people, or probably people who think too much, they'll end up calling this particular account as a expense account. A savings account is something that is usually going to yield you or provide you a rate of interest like 3 to 3.5%, at the best 4% when the interest rate scenario is really good, or just above 4%. So 3 to 3.5%, instead of keeping the funds at home, instead of keeping the money, your hard-earned money at home, it is always better to have a savings account and park your funds over there. But then when you consider it in contrast with the ongoing inflation rates, or uh, if you think a bit too much of technical analysis, then probably you may feel that the savings account, whatever yield or the interest rate that it is providing, that return may not be sufficient for you. However, it is it is of penultimate importance to open a savings account. Please understand, because it is only once you open the savings account, after that majority of the services you can be offered to you by the bank. uh, like I mentioned earlier, let us also touch upon the aspect of what happens exactly when you open a savings account. There are numerous ways of opening an account. As of now, you can open an account by going to the bank, by visiting the bank. But with digital banking platforms, especially the post-COVID scenario, no one would really like to go to a bank, especially to open an account. So banks already had these kind of platforms, but now for platforms like opening an account through mobile banking or video KYC, when you just provide your scan your documents and provide it to the bank sends you an OTP on the registered number, and that is how an account is opened, and you are ready to operate the account. So when you open an account, basically what happens is there is a relationship, a contractual obligation that is established between you and the bank. Please understand, let us not only be limited by the investment aspect. Yes, you have parked money in the savings account, and now you're going to get around 3 to 4% or 3.5% roughly interest in your account. But what happens is, whenever you open an account, along with that account, a whole gamut of services is provided to you by the banks. Like you get access to a checkbook, you get access to mobile banking, net banking, and various other forms of banking modes. So when you open a savings account with a bank, the relationship between you and the bank, or the customer and the bank, is that of a creditor and a debtor. Commerce, or students from the banking and finance stream can easily understand it. Creditor means I am the creditor for the bank. Okay, that means it is my money that I have given to the bank on credit. So a savings account is where I am the creditor and the bank is the debtor. So I can call upon my money anytime, and the bank will have to give me my money. And that is the reason the savings account is always, in banking terminology, it is referred to as a demand deposit. Okay, it is also a deposit account, and it is called as a demand deposit. So when you open a savings account, this is what happens. You get 3 to 3.5% interest rate, and at the same time, you can have access to your funds whenever you want. Only if you are demanding it in the right place and at the right time. You cannot go to a bank on Sunday and start demanding for your money, because just because you have funds in your account. So please understand, whenever you are signing any document, or whenever you are committing to any kind of a account or any kind of bank service, please read the document carefully. Please ask some brief questions, because as a student, uh, you may have an existing account, or you once you graduate, and if assuming that you get a job immediately and you start working, your employer may also offer you an account. It is generally referred to as a salary account, because majority of the companies, they have their own banks, preferred banks for salary accounts, which are usually the banks for the company also to transact. So when you open that account, do not just think of it from the investment perspective. Also try and check as to what is the maximum number of transactions that you can do in the account. What is the maximum of times that you can visit the branch, or the maximum number of withdrawals that can happen on your ATM, your bank ATM, and the other bank ATMs also. Moving onwards, a recurring deposit. A recurring deposit or a fixed deposit, these basically are known as time deposits. That is because just like in a savings account, that is a demand deposit, you can demand money anytime. In a recurring or a fixed deposit, you cannot demand money anytime. If you do, then there is a I would say a penal interest that is charged to you. Now why does this happen? This is because in savings account, when you are parking your funds or when you're keeping your money in a savings account, you can withdraw it anytime and the bank is aware of it. That person X can withdraw it anytime. Therefore, this particular money will be utilized by the bank in that particular manner only. Okay. Let me also brief you, like, banking. When we say banking, banking is the core definition for banking is borrowing of funds from the market, or borrowing of funds from people like you and me or other corporates, and then lending it to other people, set of people who need it. So whatever rate that you have lent it at, that is, आपने जो भी percentage पे you have given them a loan to say a person Y, and जो भी percentage पे you have borrowed that money from a person say X. If it is a saving account, you are paying the person X a interest rate of say 3.5%. And when you're lending it for any purpose, like say auto loan or a housing loan, assuming that the rate of interest is 8%. So that 8 minus 3 or 8 minus 4%, that is the 4% is the margin for the bank. So bank will always have to keep a track of, how much of money is coming, remaining, and till what extent, and how much of money is going to go out when, and who is going to withdraw it. So in case you are opening a savings account, you need not be bothered about informing the bank. You can just go ahead and withdraw your money through whatever modes are available at the right place in the right time. But in case you are opening a recurring or a fixed deposit, in that case, you will need to inform the bank that, I need to withdraw my money. I am in need of my funds and I need to withdraw the money. That is the reason whenever you are withdrawing money from or you are breaking a FD, usually the bank will charge you some penal interest. What is that penal interest? Suppose it is 1st of January and I have say 10,000 rupees with me, and I wish to park it, or I wish to invest it in a fixed deposit with any bank. When I invest it in a fixed deposit, the bank gives me a rate of interest. The ongoing rates are around 5.5%. So assuming 5% is the rate of interest that is prevailing at the moment. And for 1st of January, I book a FD with a bank at 5% per annum. Suppose 6 months down the line, now I have given the bank a commitment, or that, for 1 year, I'm not going to withdraw my funds. After 6 months, there is some requirement that comes up and I need to withdraw my funds. In that case, I'll need to inform the bank that I need the money. Okay, that's because in savings account it is a demand deposit. You can anytime withdraw the money, but in recurring or in fixed deposit, you cannot just go and withdraw your money. You shall be required to inform the bank that I need my money. Only then will the bank be able to give it to you. That is when the bank will break the FD. As we in common terminology we say, the bank will break the FD. Whatever amount that you have earned the interest, that much of interest will be parked to your account with a penalty of generally of 1%. Penalty is levied at that. So 1 January ko, if the rate of interest for first for 1 year FD was say 5%, and after 6 months if you are withdrawing the money from the bank, then the bank will give you interest rate, not 5%, but the rate of interest that will be given to you will be whatever was the rate of interest for 6 months. As on 1st of Jan, whatever rate of interest was there for 6 months will then be given to you, and minus 1% penalty will be charged. Penal interest, as we commonly refer to it as. Penal interest will be charged as 1%. So that much amount will then be made available to you in your savings account. I hope I'm audible. Hello. Okay. Again, getting back, after savings account, recurring deposit, and fixed deposit, one more form of service that you may be availing from the bank as an individual would be a locker facility. A locker is simply put, a locker is where you will be parking your valuables in a bank. Okay. If I have some gold, or if I have a property and the property documents need to be placed somewhere in a safe place, then bank lockers are called to be as the safest haven. So in case of a locker, the relationship is that of a licensor and a licensee. Just like in account, in a savings account or a recurring deposit or a fixed deposit, there are certain commitments in a locker relationship with the bank also. That is the licensor, that is the bank, and the locker, the person who is availing locker facility, that is the licensee. The both the parties will be again bound by some contractual obligation or a duty to honor. What is that duty? One set of key will be with you as the account holder. The other set of key shall be with the bank. And neither the bank nor the customer will be able to open the locker without each other's presence or each other's consent or permission. So even if you go to the bank and you put in your own key, it will not be open. It is not like a regular lock. First, the bank key shall have to be inserted, then the banker will move out, and then your key will come in. A locker will not generate any kind of interest. It is a ancillary service or as an added a value added service, and it does not yield you any interest. The bank is not even aware as to what is there in the locker. Believe me, throughout all these years in banking, I have seen some of the funniest things that people have, I mean, heard of some of the funniest things, or the most weird things that people have kept in a locker. Okay, uh, I mean, there have been instances where people actually park cash, liquid cash, in their locker also. But then again, those are probably people who do not expect or need any interest on their, which is actually not the most correct form of utilizing a locker services. I believe we have extensively covered a savings account, a recurring deposit, and a fixed deposit. I'll move on to the next slide. These are the core services that are offered by the banks. Now we come to the non-core. See, there is no hard and fast terminology like core and non-core. This is just for the sake of your understanding, only for the time, for the presentation that I have mentioned this, that core and non-core services. How I define a core or a non-core services? A core service is when a bank will offer something, a product or a service like an account, recurring deposit, FD, or a locker service that is of its own, that belongs to the bank. Whereas a non-core service is where the bank more of acts as a participant or acts as a facilitator to provide you some service which may not essentially be owned by the bank, like a PPF account, a mutual fund, or as you can see on the screen, a insurance facility. Let's look at them one by one quickly. A PPF account. PPF account, as we say it in Hindi or Marathi, it is a Bhavishya Nidhi. Okay, Bhavishya Nidhi means you will gradually keep on saving some amount on a periodical basis in a particular account, that is your PPF account, on which the government will charge or the government will provide you some interest. Okay, the rate of interest will vary from time to time. At present, a PPF account provides you around 7.1% interest rate. Okay, this is also a long term commitment. You will be required to open a PPF account which cannot be closed before 15 years. Please understand, because whenever you are new, whenever you are a new professional, or just graduate and then you start getting a salary or money on your hands, what is going to happen is uh, all sort of people will come and approach you. Okay, as a banker, let me share my experience. All sort of people will come and start approaching you that why don't you open an account with us, why don't you will suddenly feel that you're made to feel that important. And it's an amazing feeling right now when you're literally For every penny you are dependent. Most of you will be dependent on your parents. But then once you start getting that credit of salary in your account, it is an amazing feeling. And it is not just you who is aware that you are getting a salary credit. Uh, Sadly or coincidentally, a host of people start being aware that you are now a earner, and then they'll start approaching you. So every time when you're going to avail any facility or enter into any investment product or service, you will need to be very sure about what are the features of it. It cannot happen that usually a PPF account is opened for a period of 15 years. Okay, so a PPF account cannot be closed before 15 years. You can deposit or save up to a maximum of 1.5 lakh rupees in a PPF account, and at the moment the prevailing rate of interest is 7.1%. Now what happens here is, many times people open a PPF account, and they will start you know very handsome savings. They'll start up to the maximum limit of say 1.5 lakh. However, later on, say 1 year down the line or 2 years down the line, they feel that I'm in need of money, and they will try and withdraw the money from the PPF account, which is not the case. A PPF account is a long term commitment. जैसे इसका नाम है भविष्य निधि, आणि ते तुम्हाला आधी काढता येणार नाहीत पैसे. After a period of 15 years, you can increase your period for investment in blocks of 5 years. Okay, so say I have opened a PPF account. After the first 15 years, I can further extend my commit my PPF account period by another block of 5 years. Okay, only in case of rare urgency will you be allowed to actually withdraw money from your PPF account, which I believe is not less than 6 to 7 years. Around 6 years, 5 to 6 years के बाद ही आप इसमें से पैसा निकाल पाओगे. So please be aware of it. But then it is probably the best savings option or investment option as far as the conservative options goes, because a PPF account provides you the highest rate of interest among the most risk-free, in the most risk-free manner. The investment is managed by the park with the government of India, who in turn will be deploying it through various professional companies. Uh, all the interest that you get, the returns that you get in a PPF account, are tax-free in nature. So that is the reason why it makes it a very attractive option. Let's move on to the next part, mutual funds. I've been told that for mutual funds, life insurance, general insurance, there'll be specific sessions. But just probably as an introduction to these topics, a mutual fund is something like, I have some money and I need to invest it somewhere. So there'll be n number of people like me who have some money but lack the professional knowledge to invest it. Because when you invest money, you are expecting that the money should multiply, it should compound over a period of time. So whatever small investors like me or you are there, there is a company which is called as an asset management company, AMC. That company will gather our funds, and then it will invest in various products like say government bonds, or say stock market, different kind of investments. And there'll be a body of professional people headed by a person called as a fund manager. Usually these are very experienced people who have years or decades of experience in terms of managing investments. They have a good market reputation also. So these people will be managing it. uh, Mutual funds will be again in detail explained on a particular day. A dedicated day has been kept for that. Moving on, life and general insurance. As a young professional or young graduate, once you start earning, rather even before you start earning, uh, it is always better to have a life insurance policy in place, because these are products. Life and general insurance are like, for the same amount of coverage of insurance. The concept of insurance is that, suppose life insurance, in the presence or in the absence of a person, a person's existence cannot be replaced. However, whatever financial provisioning that he's done for his family or for his near and dear ones, that can certainly be insured. So for that is the purpose of life insurance. And same in case of a medical need, that is where a general insurance comes. Okay. Moving ahead, SGB, as we call it, or sovereign gold bond. This is again a investment vehicle of the government of India. The sovereign gold bond, sovereign as the name suggests, it is offered by the government, and gold, the investments are in gold. Usually, the latest sovereign gold bonds provided a rate of interest at 2.5%. Okay, and again, these are tax-free in nature. These are also long-term commitments. Next, G-Secs. Time and again, when government needs money, government will keep on coming with some government bonds. These government bonds are also attractive options. They provide a decent rate of interest, but then they will be limited uh, because you cannot withdraw your money immediately. There will be a lock-in period. It is a long-term commitment. Okay, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. The time horizon is always specified over there, and you can, depending on your need or what are your plans, you can invest in these government bonds also. Same goes for corporate bonds also. Like government bonds, there are various big corporate houses which have uh, which run their businesses and need money to run these businesses. So they can also offer you corporate bonds. These corporate bonds can be availed through banks also. Okay, depending on what kind of a corporate, what kind of its precedence is, its reputation is, its performance is, every corporate will be rated, and that rating for that bond will also reflect in the offer document, which you must read carefully. IPOs and NFOs, for someone who says, I would like to invest directly into the stock market, you know, one mode of doing it is IPOs. When the company initially comes out with its share, a new company gets listed for the first time. That is the initial public offering. That is when you can also invest through it. And NFOs are in the case of mutual funds. But on this particular slide, let me very profoundly mention that PPF is one of the most wonderful investment vehicles. So as soon as you graduate and you start earning, please ensure that you do open a PPF account. If you are having a bank account with any of the mainstream banks, okay, any of the government banks or any of the good private sector banks, your internet banking will give you the option to view all of these facilities. Suppose I have a PPF account, my PPF account can actually be seen through my internet banking, my net banking. My mutual fund investments can be seen. I can also see what are my investments in government bonds or corporate bonds. Those will also reflect there as a snapshot. Having told you some general basic information about investing or saving, these are four pieces of advice that we generally share with our customers, and I find it apt to share with you people also. If you spend on things you don't need, soon you may not have enough to spend on things you need. uh, right now what we see is Flipkart, Amazon, Paytm, everyone is just behind you. They're trying to offer you all sort of discounts, all sort of uh, trying to allure you, attract you to buy something which you may not need. Okay, so please be aware that as a fresher, uh, I term this, there's a term for this called as consumerism. That is, you know buy now, pay later. Even if you do not have money, you can buy now and you can pay later, but please do not forget that you need to pay. And when somebody is offering you to you on a credit, like say on a credit card or some kind of an offer, usually it comes at a higher cost or at a higher expense. So nobody's going, there are no free lunches in this world. Okay, so there is no reason why someone has to offer you something at a highly discounted price. So whenever you're buying something, please ensure that you do not buy too many of things that you do not need, because if you do that, then you may not actually not have the resources or the money to buy things that you will actually need. The next thing is, do not save what is left after spending. Instead, spend what is left after saving. This is also very important, because suppose a person has, say, let's assume nobody has 100 rupees salary, but suppose a person, for calculation, has 100 rupees salary, and the moment his salary happens, he gets his income and he starts spending. You must have noticed that there are many people who towards the month end go low on their expenses because they are hardly left with any money. So that should not be the case. You must plan your funds properly. So the moment your salary comes, let there be a mutual fund SIP. An SIP is also, like I mentioned, in the case of a PPF account, an SIP is also a great investment vehicle This is because an SIP will help you inculcate that habit of savings, okay, which is very important. You can start an SIP with as low as 100 rupees, okay, and mutual fund SIPs over a period of time, say 1 year, 2 year, the longer you stay in them, they have a successful track record of providing a higher rate of interest, in some cases as high as even 30 or 40%. So you must ensure that the moment your salary comes, go for something called as an SI or a standing instruction. जैसे ही salary आ गया, let there be a standing instruction that 500,000 or 2,000 rupees का investment will automatically do. So that is what I mean by this particular point, that do not save what is left after spending, instead spend what is left after saving. So जैसे ही आपके अकाउंट से पैसे चले जाएंगे, there'll be lesser amount of money that will be left in your account. So please start all these things, like a PPF account or even a SIP. You can in fact start an SIP even now. There is no need for you to wait till the time you graduate or you actually start earning. It is a wonderful investment vehicle. Next, an early start is as good as half job done. Like I mentioned, the biggest thing that you have, your biggest strength, you may start, you may have a lesser salary, but the biggest strength that you have with you is time. Uh, I don't know whether I should say it. You go on, experiment. You can afford to make a few mistakes. Do not repeat those mistakes. But an early start is as good as half job done, because when you start early, you have a lot of time with you. At the same time, the power of compounding, that is the power of multiplying, works in your favor in case of your money investments. And the last, do not put all your eggs in one basket. Diversify your investments as you move on. This is also very important, because I might feel that I'm very good when it comes to understanding the stock market. But then, as we know, that a stock market is prone to, it is vulnerable to a cyclical trend. That is, there is uh, a growth phase, then the market will mature, it will stay at a particular level, then there is a slump, then there is a, it will bottom out, again it will be stable over there for a while, then again there is a growth phase. So if you have all the money in the stock market, it will cost you dearly. Instead of that, put put in, diversify your investments, put in some money in a PPF account on a regular basis, in some in an SIP, go for a good life insurance investment or a medical insurance investment. Go for some money, you can also park it in stocks, and over a period of time, as you get a hang of your investments, then you'll start understanding and enjoying that this particular investment provides me this much of a return over a period of say 1 year or 1.5 year, 2 years. Then probably you, once you get hang of it, then you can actually start concentrating on a particular area. But then please do not forget that many of these but investment products or services come with some inherent risk. Okay, unlike in case of a PPF account or a sovereign gold bond, these are wherein you are actually parking your money with the government, and it is backed by something called as a sovereign guarantee or a government guarantee. A government cannot and has never, at least the government of India has never defaulted on any of its repayment obligation. I found that I'll also include this particular slide, because when it comes to banking, there are a lot of changes that are happening in banking, in the banking world also. Like I said, digital banking has really caught up with us. But the picture that you see here, the world is moving at a very fast pace. This is actually an incomplete statement. I would like to complete it by saying the world is moving at a very fast pace, and you also need to gear up, or match the pace, or else you might land up being obsolete. You see this picture of a man. He is holding a very tiny object. It is as tiny as the grain of a rice. भाताच्या कणा इतकं ते छोटा आहे. But if you're wondering what it is actually an RFID device. There's a chip in that, a microchip. This particular device is being inserted into the hands, this particular area between my thumb and the next finger over here. And this particular device, once it goes, it is a biosafe device. Wherever I'm going, if I'm going to purchase something, that particular, I just need to show my tag. It acts as a tag. It is an RFID device, a radio frequency identification device. So I need not use any kind of other payment device. It is a touch free interface. I just need to show this particular part of my hand, my palm, the backside of my palm, and it will identify that this is person X, and whatever is the payment will be made. Apart from this, it is also being used to capture the other details, or your presence, uh, notify your presence at various other locations. If I am going to my office, I just need to tag my attendance like this. If I need to purchase something very small or anything big, a garment or jewelry, this will act as a payment device. So this is the future. This is the rate at which the world is evolving. So my dear friends, my dear brothers and sisters, I would want you to, I would request you rather to please uh, upgrade yourself. And though this particular topic, we are reaching the last few minutes of the time that I have. Though this particular topic is limited only to the slideshow is limited to financial investing. I have tried my level best in terms of providing you the idea about some basic investment vehicles or product services. However, the most important thing, or rather a more important thing that you need to invest, is that is yourself. So financial investing is important, but you need to probably invest more in yourself too. This last slide I have purposely kept it because one thing that we all realize is that right now you are in a very safe zone. It is like a safe cocoon that you have. At home it's your parents or whoever is taking care of you, your relatives that you're staying with. In the college you have wonderful teacher. The college, uh, your institute, you will not realize the kind of safety that it offers you. You're absolutely covered in a safe zone. But the moment you move out, you realize that uh, not only that you are independent, but you're actually on your own. So only you and only you will be there to stand by. In that particular, I would say, I don't want to scare you by saying that it is a mad rush or a race. Yes, it is in a sort, but then it is competition. So even before you get placed, or even before you get a job, you must ask yourself that what is in it for that I have different in me. You may have a batch of say 60 people in your division, 50 or 60 people. There might be multiple divisions, so a few hundred people probably will be graduating from the same college itself. Okay, around 100 people at least. There'll be n number of colleges in Thane, Maharashtra. All these students will then land up in the market, and they will try and uh, get a good job. So what is it that you have to offer in terms of something different, some value addition in you that can also. So please, not only financial investment, it is my sincere request to all of you, please start investing in yourself also. I'm sure you're already doing it, but then probably this is the time, since you're in the third year now, you really need to raise the bar. Invest in something as basic as communication. This is the most important part when you land up in from a college, the transition from a college goer, a student, to a professional. Because the first thing that you'll need to do is communicate. It begins at a very first interaction itself, like a job interview. That is where they'll try and read you, your communication skills, your knowledge of a particular subject. So for that, you'll need to get into reading. Please read extensively. uh, when I graduated in 2002, I did not have a cell phone with me. Okay, owning a cell phone at that time was a very expensive, and it was a rarity in case of student life. Very few students actually had a cell phone. But now I believe each one of you must be having at least one cell phone or one SIM card at least. Okay, please use it rightfully and in the best possible manner. There is a huge amount of good content on the internet. Okay, watch good stuff, watch good content. Like I said, things that will help you in your professional life, because not everyone will be giving you that particular luxury or leeway that he's just come. There'll be setups wherein you will be actually required to start performing right from the word go. So please invest in yourself. Reading is probably one of the best form of investing in yourself, because it will help you gain a lot of knowledge. Okay, your reading, please do not read. Limit your reading only to your particular domain. Like if I am a student from banking and finance, I'll read only banking and finance. No. If I am a student from say science faculty, I'll read only something pertaining to science faculty. No. In bank, we have people working from all. We have doctors working in bank. We have engineers working in bank. We have veterinary doctors also working in bank. There is a separate department in bank with regards to animal husbandry or financing for animal for projects like cows or poultry. So that is where we need banks hire veterinary doctors also for jobs in bank. So please do not limit your reading only to your particular faculty or stream. Go ahead, extend the boundaries, read some good content across every particular thing. Industry interaction, try and get in contact, try and get in touch with some more corporate professionals, uh, who can actually provide you with an insight. I believe this particular platform that has been made by available by our college is a really wonderful thing. Uh, the reason being, you get to interact with people currently through the online mode. Earlier I had the opportunity to interact with some of you during personally when I was invited for a talk over there. Please interact, whoever it is, not essentially through the college. It could be your relative, it could be your elder brothers or elder family members who are working, generally what kind of a sense, so that you don't feel uh, alienated when you land in a new job. Go for certifications like if you are working, I have mentioned amphi or ncfm. These are some basic courses that people who are aiming to get a job in banking or financial industry, they can actually go for these courses. uh, if you are equipped with these courses, remember what I had said, that how am I different from the others. So these kind of certifications or courses will actually equip you and help you to land in a better opportunity, better job opportunity. uh, One thing that you must all think over is an IT certification, some IT certification, because nowadays majority of the businesses or majority of the offices or jobs are driven by IT. There are so many things in IT, like a data scientist, or something in the area of big data, or artificial intelligence. Very small courses, courses for 4 sessions, 6 sessions, they do not even cost much. Something like a SAP is like system application and processes. A SAP is something, it is a IT application which is used in most of the companies, okay, some or the other form. So you can learn some module of SAP which will help you gain a better understanding of that particular aspect of business. Some general certification in any form for IT will also be helpful to you. uh, I think I have almost reached my time limit, and probably extended beyond the investment area that I was supposed to cover. So, but the only intention here is that this particular platform that has been provided, uh, it should not happen that I remain only limited to some basic banking concepts. That is the reason I took a few minutes out for this particular slide, also investing in yourself. With that, I think I reached the end of my presentation, and thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm open to questions, whatever questions you have.
Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful information on investment avenues. So there are few questions that has sent by our participants. So my first question to you is, a student is obviously a newbie for the investment world. As a newbie, what should a student look for in banks when he goes to explore such opportunities?
See, as a student, like I said, majority of the services start with account opening. So naturally, the first step will be opening an account, and what are the conditions that are there in terms of opening that account. Please read it carefully. The maximum number of investment, or sorry, the ATM withdrawals, checkbooks. Then probably you can start with the RD, because you as a student, you may not, as a newbie, you may not have a lot of money with you. So you can start with an RD as little as 400, 500,000. That is where you can inculcate the habit of investing. You can place money in an FD also, and all the other investment options that I have described.
Thank you so much, sir. So my second question to you is, what about frauds? Or what care should we take while we consider the investment avenues in banks?
It's a good question actually. Frauds are all prevalent. We every day when you open the newspaper or any news channel, you'll notice that there is some fraud that has happened somewhere. But a fraud is generally a error on part of the customer or the banker. Uh, as a customer, if I know that I have something like a net banking password that I must not share with, and I have signed on a document when I have entered into that particular product or service with the bank. So I must ensure that I do not share my password with anyone. As far as banking goes, let me share a interesting fact. All frauds that happen in India, whatever geographical boundary of India is there, as a country, any transaction that you will need to do on the online mode at least will have to be validated by at least two-tier system. That is, you'll need to have a sign-in password, a login password, and a transaction password. Many times we will also be asked for a OTP. So that is a three-tier system. Now that is as to the extent, because इससे ज़्यादा करेंगे तो आपल्याला पण वाटेल की अरे क्या आहे, किती वेळा व्हेरिफिकेशन होते. So that is how much safe the RBI or the financial infrastructure or framework of the country, it is trying to make the transaction safer for you. But then the most important thing will be choosing the correct place to do business, to transact with. You must choose a good bank. You must ensure that that bank does not have a repeated history of fraud. That bank has invested a good deal, in terms of the ISO certification, that sort of a thing. And I think so. It is both on the part of the customer and the bank also that but you can to a greater extent avoid frauds from happening also.
Thank you so much, sir. So my third question to you is, there are many other investment avenues available in banks. So why should one select the option of FD?
Okay, see, it is like this. When we were kids, we had a piggy bank. आपल्याकडे एक
Yes,
हे असायचा ज्याच्यात आपण पैसे साठवायचं, बरोबर आहे.
yes,
ते पैसे साठवताना काय असायचं, इट यूज टू बी अ वन वे. आपण
yeah,
फक्त वर एक त्याला अपर्चर असायचं, एक ओपनिंग असायचं ज्यातून आपण पैसे टाकायचो. पण ज्यावेळेला पैसे
yeah,
लागत असतील आपल्याला तर आपण काय करायचो, तो बॉक्स आपल्याला तोडावा लागायचा. आणि ते
yes.
तोडण्याची जी हे असायची ना, वी वर स्केर्ड टू ब्रेक दॅट थिंग, बिकॉज इफ आय ब्रेक इट आय माइट ऍक्च्युअली
Lose
ब्रेक
the
दी,
money.
लूज
Yeah,
द मनी. ऍट द सेम टाइम माझं ते जे हे आहे सेव्हिंगचं ते तुटून जाईल. दॅट इज वेअर अन FD इज. Once you parked money in an FD, you know that you are not going to get the money. So
yeah.
that is why you must invest in an FD. But then at the same time, an FD is not the best in terms of the rate of interest. It is one of the
Okay.
safest thing if you are doing it with a good bank. At the same time, it will provide you average rate of interest. Like currently for 1 year, it is around 5, just above 5%. And at the same time, it will also charge you some TDS if you cross some amount. But then the reason why I should invest in FD is because if you keep that money in a savings account, you will land up spending it. But there are other better
Yeah.
options like mutual fund or a PPF account also that you can go for.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. So my fourth question to you is, how much penalty gets attracted in case we break FD?
Yeah. See, as I explained earlier, when you break an FD, generally 1% penal interest is what is charged to you. Okay. Like I had given an
Hmm.
example, 1st January को FD place किया था, and I was supposed to get 5% interest, but I broke the FD within 1 year. So whatever, say suppose I broke the FD, मी 6 महिन्यातच माझी FD ब्रेक केली, तर 1st जानेवारीला
Yeah.
ज्यावेळेला मी FD बुक केली होती बँकेसोबत, त्या 1st जानेवारीला 6 महिन्याचा जो काही इंटरेस्ट रेट होता, से 4% असेल, the
Okay.
4% interest only will be given to me, but after deduction of a 1%
Hmm.
penal interest. That is, I'll be given 3% rate of interest.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for clearing all our doubts in our mind. And thank you for your guidance. Now I would like to call upon Miss Barze to propose the vote of thanks. Over to you, Miss Barze.
Thank you, Ms. Varse. Once Robert Ennard said, in investing, what is comfortable isn't profitable. With this, we come to an end to our session today. I would like to thank Mr. Deepak Chavan for guiding us about investment avenues and how it works. Extending my vote of thanks towards the audience for their valuable time and cooperation. Well, before I close, a general reminder about the session for tomorrow. We have Dr. Prithviraj Desai who will invest his knowledge in our next session about mutual fund. क्योंकि mutual fund सही है. So stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel and like our page on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you.